Okay, I think I told you this in class, but I'm only going to go over the word problems. Remember that on the first part, 1 through 25, you only have to do the odds. The even problems will all be counted as extra credit. However, on the whole word problem part, you do need to complete each question. So this video is to help you in case you're stuck on any of those. All right, question 26 says an equilateral triangle has 3 sides that are the same. All right, so that means, and it says to draw a picture, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Got a triangle, 3 sides that are all the same. Each side is 2a squared plus ab minus 3. What's the perimeter? So I think you're probably going to find it the easiest to just write this out every time so that you can physically see what's going on. 2a squared plus ab minus 3 on each side. Perimeter, you should know, means to add all 3 sides. So I'm going to add those up. And we know when we add, we only can combine like terms, and exponents do not change. So that's going to give me 6a squared. All right, I've got an ab on each side, so that's going to be plus 3ab. And I've got a minus 3 on each side, which is going to give me minus 9. So the perimeter can be written just like that, 6a squared plus 3b minus 9. Question 27, this time they're talking about a rectangle, so I'm going to draw myself a little rectangle. It says the length is 4xy squared. The width is 3 more than that. All right, that means it's 4xy squared plus 3. I think I told one of you something incorrect today, but 3 more is going to be plus 3. So I know in an area, opposite sides are going to be equal to each other. So I can fill in these other 2 sides, the top and the left side also. This time they're going to ask me for the area, which I will give you all these formulas tomorrow if you need them. But area, you should know, is length times width. So I'm going to be multiplying those. So it doesn't matter what you call length or width. It just means you're going to be multiplying these 2 sides together. So I'm going to be doing 4xy squared times 4xy squared plus 3. And then you all have learned, and what you should definitely know how to do is to distribute there, to multiply those. So if I do the first distributive property, it's going to be those things. So that's 4 times 4 is 16. X times x is x squared. Y times y is y to the 4th. And then I'm going to multiply that term again by 3. So that's going to be plus 12xy squared. So really you just need to know that with area, we're going to be doing length times width. So you're multiplying the 2 components, whereas perimeter is to add the 2 components together. All right, last little one here. And this one, actually, I'll let you can mark this one as extra credit also. I can give you the answer in class tomorrow, but this one's a little bit on the more complex side. I will tell you, you can go ahead and set it up. They tell you that one side is 5x plus 4, and you're trying to find, they give you the perimeter. So basically, you're adding 4 things together. They tell you what the answer is supposed to be. 20x squared y minus 8x. And the only thing that you can fill in right away is you know that 2 of these sides are going to be 5x plus 4, either the top or the bottom or the left or the right. So your job is to figure out what must go in these other sides so that that whole equation ends up being true. So try that on your own, but I'll count that one as extra credit. You don't have to worry too much about that one. All right, now I have changed the instructions from what it reads for those of you in second block. I told some of you this, but I retyped the instructions for you. So if you were confused, hopefully this makes more sense. I really just want you to be able to identify from a word problem, is it exponential or linear? So for instance, this first question says a bank account started with $1,000 and earned $10 interest per month. So that first part there is an example of linear. All right, because we've got like a constant rate going on. The second part in that problem says then they paid 2% interest for the next 2 years. 2%, remember, percentage should make you think exponential. All All right, so you just need to be able to identify those things in word problems. All right, so the next one says, Jinlu earns a bonus for each sale she makes. She earns $100 for the first sale, $150 for the second sale, $200 for the third sale, and so on. So think about, is that an example of linear or exponential? So I've started with 100 here, then 150, and then 200. So to me, that looks like we're adding 50 each time. And you all know when it's a pattern of addition or it's a constant rate, that's an example of linear. All right, if it had been multiplying by something each time, for instance, if it had been like 100, 200, 400, that would have been an example of exponential. So you just need to know that linear is constant rate and it's addition, subtraction. That also goes with that word arithmetic. Don't forget that one. And exponential is multiplication, division, and that goes with the word geometric. So just make sure you remember those things. All right, and then this last problem, this is the same thing that it says for you. I think for second block, it may have accidentally said $600 per month. It should be per year. If you have a bank account that gives you $600 per month interest, you should have that account. All right, so it says f of x is for the simple interest, which is this first one, $600 each year. And it says you're investing $10,000. So f of x is going to be 600 each year, so 600x plus 10,000. G of x, and you all can write y equals each time. It doesn't matter to me. This is just another way to denote that. And the second one is for compound interest, which is this percentage that they give us here. So on this one, remember, you start at 10,000, and then we do 1. Interest is always plus, so 1 plus 0.05, because we change it to a decimal, with an exponent of x, right? Because you're starting with 1,000. Not after the first month, you're just starting with it. All right, is either one of those linear or exponential? So hopefully you realize that the first one is linear, just like I talked about on the last slide, and that this one is going to be exponential. And you can tell exponential because it's got the percent, and linear because it's got the constant rate. Those are some terms you need to remember. All right, find the values for the deposits of each after 3 years. Now, because of what it's about to ask, you all know when we compare these, we're going to use our graphing calculator. So remember, you're going to type both of these into the y equals, and then you're going to go to your table function to try to compare them. Okay, so I just wanted to show you, we type this in our calculator. So remember, this is me typing both of these into the y equals, one equation in the first one equation in the second. You can't see it, but make sure you have the little exponent x at the top. And then we go to the table function, which is second, and here's that table button right above graph, all right? And it's going to give you the first function, so A and B. And remember, this X here is like in terms of years. So it says our first question, what's the value of the deposits after 3 years in each account? Which one's a better choice? So if I zoom in here, I'm looking after 3 years, which is going to be right here. So those are the values of each of them that you can write down. And which one's a better choice? Well, if you're the one investing, you obviously want the most amount of money. So after 3 years, A will be the better choice, or the first one where you're getting $600 flat. And you can say even by how much more, right? Like you could subtract those two and say that it's, I think that's 224. You're going to get 224 more dollars if you pick the first option versus the second one there. All right, it says question 6 says find the value of your deposits after 20 years in each account. Which one's a better choice? So you're going to use your calculator and scroll down and find which one's going to be the better choice after 20 years. All right, and then question 7 says when will the two be equally attractive? So when will they both be about the same is what it's asking. And it says round to the nearest tenth. So remember, that means we need to change what our calculator is counting by. Okay, so we're trying to figure out when will they be equally the same. So if I've kind of scrolled through to find when do they pass each other. So notice like at 6, A is larger. At 7, A is larger. At 8, A is larger, and they're getting closer. And then at 9, it looks like B starts to be the larger one. So it's somewhere here in between, 8 and 9 that we're switching, where one becomes better than another. And it says to the nearest 10th. So we're going to go in and change our settings. So remember, to do that, you're going to go to second, and then this table setting button right here, like right above window. And you want to, I said that I wanted it to start at 8 because I know I'm looking somewhere between 8 and 9, and I want it to count by 0.1 so that it gives me like 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. That'll give me that 10th decimal place. So when I did that, let's see, it gave me my table right here, and I'm counting by, notice that I'm counting by 0.1s. I'm trying to figure out where do they get as close as possible. If you take a second to look at this, it looks like the closest that they are is right here at 8.2. They're like $1 apart right there. Okay, so the closest place, it says when will they become, or after what length of time will they become approximately the same? That's kind of what that's implying. And the answer is 8.2 years. All right, and then this last part down here is saying, thinking about what you have in for that 8.2 years. If you're an investor, how would you decide which option you would want to choose? Would you choose the first option, option A, or option B? Which one would be better? So I think the idea is here, hopefully you can think about that. Before 8.2 years, if you look here in like the first column, before that point, option A is a better option. So if you're going to invest for less than 8 years, you should choose option A. But if you're going to invest longer than that, anything after 8.2, it looks like option B is the better option. So that's what you need to have written down for part A, just a little sentence that kind of says exactly what we just said. Before 8.2 years, option A is better. After 8.2 years, option B is going to be your better choice. You will have a question like that on your test tomorrow, so make sure you understand how I'm setting that up and working that problem out.